New Buddha-ware Dhamma Talks. Geoff Hunt presents a talk on some aspect of the Buddha's teaching.
Right, well, Happy New Year to everyone. That phrase, Happy New Year, does have a certain resonance, doesn't it? There's the word happy. One does wonder what that is. And even a new year, I mean, is there really any break in time? So just something that we invented? Or is there really continuous flow? What if the earth stopped spinning? We wouldn't have day and night. What if it stopped going around the sun? We wouldn't have a year. It's all human invention, really. And happiness too is a human invention. We don't think very deeply about happiness. You know, at New Year, we often have this idea that we should make a wish for the rest of the year. And no doubt some of you have made wishes. You know, wishes of all sorts. Wishes for the family or friends or sick members of the family. Or sometimes rather nebulous things like, this year I'm going to be a better person, without really having thought through how that would come about, or even what better actually means there. Because with a new year, we've got the word new in there, but what is actually new? Does something happen on January the 1st that wasn't happening on the 31st of December? And of course, in different parts of the world, different cultures, you have different beginnings and endings for the new year. So we might ask, well, what is new? Let's think about the way we wish to start anew. Whether that's on January the 1st or June the 15th or whatever. It's not really very relevant, is it? Because it's nothing to do with an occasion in time. In fact, that doesn't really help, because we all know that we think, well, January the 1st, should make a wish and keep it secret, otherwise it doesn't work. It takes about, a week, 2 weeks, and it starts. What was that new wish I made? I've forgotten what it was now, that's right. And how far did I get with it? Probably not very far. And then we feel a kind of disappointment. Perhaps we're not conceiving things in the right way. We're thinking of starting anew as an event, and that it happens at a certain time, and that I have to make some sort of decision. That starting anew is a decision. I have decided today at 25 to 12 that I'm going to be a better person. Can't help feeling there's probably something slightly wrong with that approach to things. One thing that's missing, of course, is any kind of knowledge or instructions or direction on how that is supposed to come about. We might think it's just changing certain parts of our behavior. It doesn't occur to us that it might actually involve a change in what you might call our attitude, our outlook, our deeper understanding of our reality and of our lives. Is that going to come about by a decision? Not surprising, really, if it's a couple of weeks later. It's a little bit disappointing that nothing much seems to have happened. So what is this thing to begin anew? What deeper sense can we give to beginning anew? Beginning anew is a creative moment, and it's the moment in the present. Beginning anew is at any point, one begins anew. At any point, one also falls back into old ways. So we're always perched on this edge of a cliff, if you like, with the past behind us and the future in front of us, apparently. But that's a moving point. So we're always perched. We're always perched on the edge, and we create that moving edge, don't we? So it's a process with a difference. It's not a process that you are watching. You're not an observer of an outside process in which you happen to be involved. You are the process. You're embedded in the process. Everything is growing around you, and you are not watching it growing. You are embedded in that growth. You are the growth. You are the growth. Unstoppable growth. Appearing, moving through life, disappearing. It doesn't stop. You are in it. You're of it. You're not outside watching it. That throws a different light on this business of beginning anew, because you're always beginning anew. Think of a tree growing. Where does it begin anew? Is it at a certain point? Does it grow to 2 feet high and then say, right, I've decided this week that I'm going to send out a branch on the left? It doesn't work that way. The tree is in continual motion. Nothing is permanent. It's all moving, it's all flowing, but you're not watching it flowing. You are the flow. And what makes us unique as human beings is that we can know that. That's what liberates us. You know that you are flowing, and you know that you're always at that creative point. It can be very liberating. That you're not a mere observer of the world, you are the world. Put it that way, if you like. So you can begin anew at any moment. Creativity requires that self-awareness, that self-understanding, that you are embedded in the whole growth of everything, all interrelated. So, this moment, these words, could be a beginning anew. What happens when you say, oh, I see what you mean? What was that? What was that? I see what you mean. What is that? That's growth. Growth in understanding. I see what you mean. Growth in understanding. That was your creative moment. You've now grown. You've moved a little bit. And the growth can go on. It's like if a tree were to come to life, right, and one little leaf were to become aware, oh, I'm a leaf, but I'm part of the tree, and the tree is growing, and that is how I come to be growing, because it's all growing. That leaf is in a very different position from the other leaves on the tree, because it will have understanding, it will have wisdom. The other leaves will grow from a bud, they will flourish for a while, they will absorb the sun and get larger, maybe more beautiful, and then something else happens. They start shriveling and drying up, changing colour, and gradually fading away, dropping off the tree. But it doesn't matter. Go back into the ground, into the soil, into mulch, and back up another tree, perhaps. So it's an endless cycle of arising, falling away, arising, falling away. This is not something we are watching. This is where we are right now. We're in that process. You are that process. But the difference is that you can develop this thing we call mindfulness, which is learning to observe how you are that embedded growth. Now that's a liberation, because now you can think, well, don't I have some choices here? But the wisdom is knowing what the constraints on the choices are as well. A thorn tree does not give rise to figs. You're not going to wake up in the morning and say, right, well, I've decided today, in my creative moment, that I'm going to be a famous film star or a singer or whatever. You might say that, and you might be right. If other things are in place, other conditions are in place, but on the other hand, they might not be in place. The wisdom is in knowing the difference. But never forgetting that every single moment is creative for you. Every single moment you can begin anew. But with the wisdom that you can't begin anew in any way you like. If you're a leaf on an oak tree, then you are a leaf on an oak tree. You're not going to be a pineapple. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Imagine a pineapple suddenly appearing on an oak tree. What is going on? Those genetic engineers have been at it again. So you see, through mindfulness, you know how you are. And you know what the risk constraints are. But you also know that you are, in every moment, creative. And where does the creativity lie? It lies in that direction of effort, the direction of understanding, your relationships with others, your understanding even of the human race. Look at us as 7 billion people and what we're up to and where we're at. There's a lot of hope there, and there's a lot of sadness and disappointment at how wretched we can be. Wretched, absolutely wretched, because of ignorance of our potential, our creative potential. And that is where the hope lies. The hope lies in being able to rise to that level of a consciousness of what I am and my limitations. And the joy in knowing that I am everything and everything is me. There is no leaf without a tree, but there is no tree without a leaf. That's where each one of us is. We need to remember that, because we're always trying to take something. You cannot take from that which is already part of you. I mean, if I thought my nose was really attractive, could I take it off and stick it on top of my head? No, it has a place where it is. Okay? And yet, I think I can cut down a tree and make furniture out of it, and then it's become mine. But all I've done is destroy the tree. You might say, well, I've created a table. Well, okay, up to a point, and a point is passed where the wisdom is lost, and then it becomes destruction. Just destruction. And we've got a lot of that going on at the moment. So we really need a change of perspective. We have passed the limits already. We are already borrowing from the future. We are borrowing from our children, from our grandchildren, from our great-grandchildren. We are borrowing from other species, which we are annihilating by the day. We have now mortgaged the future. We are living on 1 1/3 planets, but we haven't got 1 1/3. We've got one, but we are living as though we had 1 1/3 already. Think about it. That's the only thing. It means we are now cutting off our own feet, our own legs. See, that is a misunderstanding of growth. It's as though growth is something going on out there. Growth is something going on in here. And if we don't know that, it'll cause a lot of destruction, which is exactly what it's doing. But it will cause suffering for we as individuals as well. So we can begin anew, and first of all, you have to be in the present, develop your mindfulness, know how to be in the present. Now, you don't have to become neurotic and think, I've got to do this 24 hours a day, but learn to be more mindful, more in the present, learn the workings of your own mind, that, look at my mind now, it wants something. It can't get it. It's getting irritated. Silly mind, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that. How pathetic is that? Okay, just let that go, okay? Because, there is the second observer. There's the second observer observing the first observer. The first observer is being stupid. It wants something it can't have. The second observer is saying, you can't have it, you stupid one. So why don't you just calm down? Who's going to get the upper hand here, the first observer or the second observer? Civilization has to go in the direction of the second observer. That's where we're at. To understand ourselves, understand the limits, understand that it may look okay to us to destroy other things, but it doesn't look okay to us when we realize that we're destroying ourselves, and we think, wow, I didn't realize that, how stupid I was. How could we have missed climate change? That's a pretty big thing to miss, wasn't it? We have science, pioneering into areas of quantum mechanics and abstruse areas, which require a lot of cleverness, a lot of theoretical creativity, but something as simple as climate change, which does not require anything other than basic science, we missed. And we missed it for 150 years. Why? How did we miss it? Since we are so clever that we can go to Mars. But we're so stupid that we want to go to Mars. You get what the problem is here. Cleverness will take us in itself will take us in directions led by greed, hatred, and so on. And that's why we miss climate change. Greed was overpowering our intelligence. So we didn't notice what a GCO level student could tell us about the effects of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Science is not going to save us. Technology is not going to save us. Because we think of creativity, we think, what is a creative person? A creative person is what, an astrophysicist or a brain surgeon? They have not saved us and they will not save us. That is creativity and we admire it, but it's not the kind of creativity we actually need. The kind of creativity we need now is your creativity as individuals, as human beings. Human creativity at its most basic level. To become aware of the workings of your own mind. It wants what it hasn't got. It doesn't want what it has got. It is never satisfied. It is roaming. It is plundering. It is cutting off its own legs. You know, the Buddha sometimes has compared us to monkeys in a tree, squabbling with each other, throwing bananas at each other. What fun. Or sometimes compared us to a herd of elephants. An angry elephant is a very dangerous thing. And we've got some human angry elephants at the moment. We've always had them. And in fact, historically, we've got less now than we had in the past. In the past, it was even worse. So it's a slow movement. But what's the difference between an angry elephant and an angry human? Well, the difference is that the angry human is much more dangerous than the angry elephant. But what's the difference between an angry human and a human that is becoming aware that they're getting angry and has the wisdom to know where that leads in the harm they're doing to themselves, first of all, and the consequent harm they will be doing all around themselves? There is a vast chasm between the person who simply reacts and the person who knows when the reaction is beginning and says, no, not that way. This way feels much better. Now I feel like I'm growing. Generosity, gratitude, helpfulness, kindliness, love for others. I can feel that. I know that feels good. Who feels good when they're angry? Who feels good when they're irritated? Who feels good when they're craving for something? Who feels good when they're heavily rejecting something that is in their life? Nobody. Where's the problem? Is it out there, or is it in my reactivity to something I take to be out there? An illusory dance of death, isn't it? So we need to wake up, which is what Buddhism is all about. The Buddha, the awakened one. So each one of us can become a Buddha. Each one of us can be at least more awake. We're not talking about being perfectly awake, but at least more awake. That will make a big difference too to our lives. So it is this moment in which you can start that. Wake up now. Wake up now.
New Buddha Way lets go of East and West and starts afresh in the life we have now. For more information, visit www.newbuddhaway.org.